The conference room on the 42nd floor felt like a freezer. Maya Patel pulled her blazer tighter as she watched the board members file in, their faces carved from stone. As the newly appointed CEO of Technova, a struggling cloud infrastructure company, she'd been in the role for exactly 8 days. Now she was about to face her first board meeting, and possibly her last. "Ms. Patel," began Richard Thornton, the silver-haired board chairman, his voice dripping with skepticism. "We've reviewed your initial assessment. Frankly, we're concerned. Your background is in product development, not executive leadership. Perhaps we moved too hastily." Maya's stomach clenched, but she kept her expression neutral. She'd heard variations of this speech before, at MIT when professors doubted a girl from Mumbai could handle advanced computer science, at her first startup when investors questioned her technical chops, at every company where she'd been the only woman in the room. "I understand your concerns," she replied evenly, her slight Indian accent more pronounced under stress. "But I've spent the last week conducting over 60 interviews with employees, partners, and customers across 3 continents. I believe I've identified the core problem." Board member Jennifer Wu leaned forward, her expression doubtful. "And what might that be?" "We're hemorrhaging our European contracts. 3 major clients, representing $480 million in annual recurring revenue, are preparing to terminate. The issue isn't our technology. It's our communication." Thornton scoffed. "Communication? We have translators, Ms. Patel. We have localization teams. With respect, Mr. Thornton, translations aren't enough. I've been reviewing the client calls. Our account managers don't understand the cultural nuances. They're offending clients without realizing it. Small things compound, using informal language with German executives who expect formality, missing implicit requests from Japanese partners who communicate indirectly, misreading the priority levels of Italian clients who speak with emotion that our teams interpret as exaggeration rather than urgency." The room fell silent. Board member Marcus Chen shuffled his papers. "So what? We hire more expensive consultants." Maya took a breath. "No. I'm going to handle the relationships directly. Starting tomorrow, I'm flying to Munich." "You?" Thornton's eyebrows shot up. "You're the CEO of a $5 billion company. You don't have time to play customer service representative. These 3 contracts represent nearly 40% of our revenue. If we lose them, we'll miss our quarterly numbers, our stock will crater, and we'll face hostile takeover attempts within 6 months. I'd say that makes it a CEO-level priority." Jennifer Wu studied her carefully. "You really think you can salvage this?" Maya met her gaze. "I'm going to try." What she didn't tell them, what she'd never advertised on her resume or mentioned in interviews, was the secret that had shaped her entire life. Klaus Bergman looked like a man who'd already made up his mind. The CEO of Deutsche Cloud Works sat behind his massive mahogany desk, arms crossed, his expression broadcasting irritation. "Ms. Patel, I appreciate you coming personally, but I am afraid this is merely a courtesy meeting. We have already begun discussions with your competitor, Strata Systems. Your team has been disappointing. Maya had prepared for this. She'd spent the entire flight reviewing every interaction, every email, every recorded call. She understood exactly where things had broken down. Herr Bergmann, she began, switching seamlessly into flawless German, her accent precise and formal. Ich verstehe vollkommen Ihre Frustration, und ich bin hier, persönlich verantwortlich für unsere Fehler zu übernehmen. I completely understand your frustration, and I'm here to personally take responsibility for our mistakes. Klaus blinked, surprise flickering across his stern features. She continued in German, maintaining the formal register that German business culture demanded. Our team failed to recognize that when you mentioned considering alternatives in March, you weren't making casual conversation. You were issuing a formal warning that we needed to address specific technical concerns immediately. In American business culture, people tend to state problems directly. We missed the subtlety of your communication style. Klaus uncrossed his arms slightly. You speak German. I do. I also speak Mandarin, Japanese, Spanish, French, Hindi, Gujarati, and English. But more importantly, I understand that language is more than words, it's culture, context, and respect. For the next 2 hours, they talked. Meyer explained the technical roadmap in German, addressed his concerns about data sovereignty with the nuance that only a native-level speaker could provide, and demonstrated a deep understanding of German regulatory requirements that went far beyond what any translator could have conveyed. When she finally stood to leave, Klaus walked her to the door, something his assistant later told her he never did. Ms. Patel, he said, his voice warmer, I will delay our decision for 2 weeks. Show me you can make these changes across your entire organization, and we will reconsider. Maya bowed slightly, another cultural touch she knew mattered. Dank schön, Herr Bergmann. Sie werden es nicht bereuen. Thank you, Mr. Bergmann. You won't regret it. The meeting with Tokishi Yamamoto required an entirely different approach. Where Klaus had been direct once the ice was broken, Tokishi-san operated in layers of indirection. His company, Sakura Technologies, represented $165 million in annual contracts. Maya sat across from him in a traditional tatami room that Sakura Technologies maintained specifically for important negotiations. She'd dressed conservatively, wore minimal jewelry, and had studied the specific dialect and honorific levels appropriate for this interaction. Yamamoto-san, she began in formal Japanese, bowing precisely to the correct angle for their respective positions. The reason I've come personally is because we value our relationship with your company above all else. Tokishi-san's expression remained neutral, but she saw the slight softening around his eyes. The fact that she'd used the humble form of the verb, showing proper deference, hadn't gone unnoticed. The conversation moved slowly, ceremonially. Maya had learned in her years working with Japanese companies that rushing was the fastest way to lose. They discussed the season, the quality of tea, mutual acquaintances. Only after 40 minutes did they approach business matters. There have been concerns, Tokishi-san said carefully, about the responsiveness of your technical team. Maya knew from her review that concerns about responsiveness meant the team had committed a cardinal sin in Japanese business culture. They'd contradicted a client's statement publicly during a conference call, causing loss of face. The Japanese team had subsequently submitted a feature request that had been ignored for 6 weeks, not because it was unimportant, but because the American product managers hadn't understood that it would be nice if in Japanese business context actually meant this is a critical requirement. Yamamoto-san, Maya said, switching to an even more formal register. I deeply apologize for the great inconvenience our lack of understanding has caused your company. She bowed deeply, a full apology bow. When she rose, she saw surprise in Tokushi-san's face. American executives didn't bow like that. They didn't apologize with that level of formality. I have reviewed every interaction, she continued in Japanese. I understand that we failed to hear what you were truly communicating. Your team expressed critical needs that we dismissed as optional preferences. This was disrespectful and unprofessional. I am here to personally ensure this never happens again. She spent the next hour explaining, in detail, how she would restructure the account team. She would assign a Japanese-speaking relationship manager who understood the culture. She would implement a formal system for prioritizing Japanese client requests. She would personally review all major communications. When the meeting ended 3 hours after it began, Tokushi-san walked her to the elevator, an extraordinary gesture. Patel-san, he said, using the honorific that signaled respect, please visit us again. Soon. In Japanese business culture, this was as good as a renewed handshake. Antonio Romano was already yelling when Maya arrived. You come here now. Now, after 6 months of disasters. After your incompetent team loses our data for 3 hours. After they tell me, ME, that our problems are low priority. He paced his office, hands gesturing wildly, his voice bouncing off the Renaissance-era frescoes on the ceiling. His company, Romano Digital Services, controlled $150 million in contracts, and was the gateway to the entire Italian market. Maya waited. She knew, from her mother's Gujarati side and her own experience, that some cultures needed to express emotion fully before moving to resolution. American business culture interpreted raised voices as hostility. Italian culture often used them for emphasis. When Antonio paused for breath, she responded in rapid, fluent Italian. Signor Romano, ha perfettamente ragione. Illinois nostro team ha trattata in modo assolutamente inaccettabile. Io sono qui di persona perch, lei merita un interlocutor, che capisca veramente l'importanza di cio che lei si sta dicendo. Mr. Romano, you're absolutely right. Our team treated you in a completely unacceptable way, and I'm here in person, because you deserve someone who truly understands the importance of what you're telling us. Antonio stopped mid-stride. You speak Italian. Sigh. And I understand that when you called our San Francisco office at 3 a.m. your time, during the outage, you weren't being dramatic. You were desperately trying to save your business. Your American account manager told you to relax, and that it wasn't a catastrophe. But for you, with your clients unable to access their systems, it absolutely was a catastrophe. Antonio's shoulders dropped slightly. Finally someone understands. Do you know what that man said to me? These things happen. In English. While my phone is ringing with angry clients. While I am losing contracts. Maya pulled out her tablet. I've reviewed the incident. Here's what actually happened in technical terms. Here's why it affected your infrastructure more severely than other clients. A configuration issue our team should have caught. And here's the compensation package I'm authorizing. 3 months of service credits. A dedicated priority support line directly to our San Francisco engineering team, with Italian-speaking liaisons, and a full infrastructure audit at no cost. She paused, then added in Italian, and I am going to personally fire the account manager, who told you to relax. Antonio stared at her. Then, suddenly, he laughed, a huge, booming laugh. You know what? I believe you. Sit. We have espresso, we talk about this properly. For the next 2 hours, they spoke entirely in Italian. Maya discussed the technical solutions, yes, but she also asked about Antonio's family, his history in business, his vision for growing his company. She understood that Italian business culture was built on personal relationships, on trust, on being seen as a human being rather than just a contract. When she left, Antonio kissed her on both cheeks, the traditional Italian greeting, but one he apparently didn't give to just anyone. You come back, yes, he said. Not just when there are problems. You come back and we have real conversation. I promise, Maya said. The emergency board meeting had been called at Richard Thornton's insistence. Maya had been gone for nearly 2 weeks, and rumors had spread that she was abandoning her duties, playing tourist in Europe while the company burned. She walked into the conference room exhausted, jet-lagged, running on coffee and determination. The board members looked grim. Ms. Patel, Thornton began, his voice cold with authority, while you've been overseas, we've had a serious situation develop. Our Q2 numbers are up 7% from projections, Maya interrupted quietly. I know. I've been monitoring them. I also know that all 3 European contracts have been renewed, not just renewed, but expanded. Deutsche Cloud Works increased their commitment by 22%. Sakura Technologies added 2 new divisions. Romano Digital Services referred us to 3 other Italian companies who are now in active negotiations. The room went silent. Maya pulled up a presentation on the screen. Here's what I've learned over the past 2 weeks. Technova has been losing international contracts not because of our technology, but because of our cultural blindness. We've been conducting business as if everyone operates under American norms, direct communication, casual relationships, fast decisions. But our clients operate under completely different systems. She clicked through slides showing patterns she'd identified. Germans expect formality and precision. Japanese clients communicate indirectly and prioritize long-term relationships over immediate gains. Italian partners need emotional connection and expect passion in business discussions. We've been sending account managers who don't speak these languages, don't understand these cultures, and, most critically, can't hear what clients are really telling us. Jennifer Wu leaned forward. How did you turn it around so quickly? I spoke to them in their own languages. Not just linguistically, but culturally. I showed them that we understood their needs, their communication styles, their business contexts. I made commitments I knew we could keep. And I apologized, really apologized, for how we'd failed them. Marcus Chen frowned. But you can't personally manage every international account. No, Maya agreed. But I can build a system that doesn't require me to. I've already started recruiting multilingual account managers. Not just people who speak the languages, but people who actually understand the cultures. I'm implementing mandatory cultural training for all client-facing staff. And I'm establishing a new rule: before we enter any market, we must have native-level cultural competency on our team." Thornton sat back, his skepticism finally cracking. "Where did you learn to speak 9 languages?" Maya smiled slightly. "I grew up in Mumbai in a mixed family. My father was Gujarati, my mother was Bengali. In our household, we spoke 4 languages at the dinner table. I learned Mandarin and Japanese in college because I was fascinated by Asian markets. I picked up German and French during my first startup when we expanded to Europe. Spanish came from living in Argentina for 2 years. The languages weren't party tricks, Mr. Thornton. They were tools for understanding people." She paused, then added softly, "My parents always taught me that if you really want to understand someone, you need to speak to them in the language that reaches their heart. Not just their ears." The board members exchanged glances. Finally, Thornton nodded slowly. "All right, Ms. Patel. You've bought yourself some time. Let's see if you can make this work long-term." "I will," Maya said. "Because this isn't just about saving contracts. It's about building a company that actually understands the world it operates in." The Wall Street Journal article was titled, "How Technova's Multilingual CEO Transformed Company Culture and Saved Hundreds of Millions." Maya read it in her office while Klaus Bergmann's email sat open on her other monitor. He'd sent a note in German, now a regular occurrence, praising her team's latest feature release and mentioning that he'd recommended Technova to 3 other German companies. Tokushi Yamamoto had sent a formal gift: a beautiful Japanese fountain pen engraved with characters meaning respectful partnership. Antonio Romano called every few weeks just to chat, and their last conversation had ended with him insisting she visit for his daughter's wedding. Technova's international revenue had grown 41% in 2 quarters. More importantly, their client satisfaction scores in international markets had jumped from 6.2 to 9.1 out of 10. But the change Maya was proudest of wasn't in the numbers. It was in the company culture. Her new requirement, that every executive learn at least 1 language beyond English, had been met with initial resistance, but eventual enthusiasm. The engineering team had started offering voluntary lunch sessions where people shared their cultural backgrounds. The company cafeteria now offered menus in 6 languages. Jennifer Wu had pulled her aside after the last board meeting. "You know," she'd said, "when we hired you, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe we were taking a risk on someone unproven. But you didn't just save those contracts. You taught us something important, that diversity isn't just about checking boxes. It's about genuinely understanding the people we serve." Maya had smiled. "My parents used to say that speaking someone's language is an act of respect. But respecting someone means more than just words. It means understanding their values, their context, their way of seeing the world. That's what I wanted to build here." Now, sitting in her office overlooking San Francisco Bay, Maya thought about the journey. She'd been underestimated her entire life: the immigrant kid, the woman in tech, the risky CEO choice. But every challenge had taught her the same lesson: true strength comes not from forcing others to adapt to you, but from having the flexibility and empathy to meet them where they are. Her phone buzzed. Another international client, this one from Brazil, requesting a call. Maya smiled and picked up, greeting them in Portuguese. The conversation had only just begun. "Hello everyone. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, don't forget to support our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. We regularly upload amazing, informative, and entertaining content just for you. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to bring even better content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to our growing community."